In today's session, we are going to cover the topic culture. We will also discuss its types, its relationship with education. Anyhow, we will learn everything about it. Stay connected till end. So let's go. First of all, we will put the light on its meaning and concept. Culture is the expression of our nature in our mode of thinking and living in our everyday intercourses. It is a key concept in both sociology and anthropology. It is culture who shapes our values, beliefs, norms, and to a great extent our attitudes and the way we perceive the world around us. So, way we dress, speak, greet one another, and the structures and the institutions we build are determined by our culture. So it refers to the group of social heritage that has been transmitted from one generation to another generation. We will also observe the scientific knowledge, philosophical systems, literally traditions, art forms, and customs and manners are handed down from one generation to another. It also includes religious, political, economic, and other types of activities. So it encompasses not only the material objectives such as tools, technology, fashion, etc. It also includes the means of human survival, which the individual and the man inventions and inventors, as well as the means by which a man adjusts to his environment. So culture includes all that the man has acquired in his individual and social life. In sociology, we use the word culture to denote acquired behaviors that are shared and transmitted among the members of society. It is an accumulation that a new generation inherits. So the man learns his behavior, and his behavior is learned, and it denotes his culture. So you understand that the system of culture is learned among the members of a group. So it's not innate. So the trait is learned through. These are the traits which you learn through socialization, and the habits and thoughts are what is called culture. Culture also helps us in fulfillment of ethical and social needs of the group that are ends in themselves. So it possesses an order and system. So its various parts are integrated with each other, and the elements that is introduced, they are all integrated. E.B. Tyler is the founder of culture. Let's look on some definitions of culture. E.B. Tyler, it was an English anthropologist. He has defined culture that it is a complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. T.S. Eliot is of the view that he says that the term culture includes all the characteristic activities and interests of the individuals. Robert Birdestag is of the opinion that culture is the complex whole that consists of all the ways we think, we do in everyday life as having members of that particular society. The University Education Commission also remarked about the culture, and the University of Education Commission mentioned that culture is an attitude and inclination of the spirit, and those who yearn for it wish to have a vision of greatness. So the people sit in the presence of mobility, so their culture reach its highest scope and the spirit of man. Swami Dayanand Saraswati also mentioned about the cultures. He says that the culture consists of acceptance of truth and abandonment of untruth. Jawaharlal Nehru thinks that culture is the widening of mind and of the spirit. Also, that Gandhiji remarks that culture is the foundation and the primary thing. It should show itself in the smallest detail of your conduct and personal behavior, like how you sit, how you walk, how you dress, etc. These are the inner cultures. They are must reflected in your speech and the way in which you treat the others, and the behavior of towards your behavior towards your parents, teachers, and elders. Let's understand few characteristics of culture. Culture is learned, so it is a learned way of behavior. So the objectives are not organic or biological; they can only be acquired through the social life. So it is the work of socialization. Man learns culture by socialization. Everyone learns thoughts and other ideas and the way of interact through with the way of interacting with the other persons of the society. Culture is always social. Culture cannot become a personal property of anyone. So it is social because man cannot make the culture. It is shared by all the members of the society. So it's necessary for culture to have an association with other human beings. Culture is transmissive. Transmits from one generation to another generation, not through genetically, but by the means of language. So language is the main vehicle of culture. Different forms of language like reading, writing, speaking makes it possible for present generation to understand the achievement of earlier generations of that very particular society. So the transmission will take place by the imitation as well as the instructions of others, through which we can understand culture is transmitted. Culture is dynamic and adaptive. So as we all know that it is unchangeable and it will remain constant. So it will not remain constant. So it is unchangeable. We can't modify it, but some changes occur with the period of time. So culture is subject to constant and consistent changes occur sometimes. For example, when a particular culture is transmitted to next generation, the recent generation modifies it according to their own needs. Then it's modified from culture is transmitted to third generation. So the process of modification is happiness. So it never stops, and this reaches into the continuous enrichment of culture. So it's culture who is responsible for changing conditions and physical world, because it is adaptive and it helps in the process of adjustment of an individual. Culture is shared. So in the sense of sociology, is something that it is shared. So an individual cannot possess anything like sorry individual cannot possess culture alone. So he cannot possess the customs, traditions, beliefs, ideas, values, morals. So he cannot possess them all alone. It is something like that we adopt it and use it to be believed and practiced. Culture has distinct entity. Every society having different cultural activities and differences in beliefs, morals, practices, their ideologies, institutions, spiritual progress, etc. So every society is unique. People of different cultures have their own traditions, thoughts in the atmosphere in which they live. Culture is consistent and integrated. It has a tendency to be consistent, and at the same time different parts of culture, they are interconnected with each other. Like the value system of the society is closely connected with other aspects such as morality, religion, customs, traditions, etc. Culture is gratifying, so it provides the proper opportunities and the means of satisfaction to our needs, desires, like food, shelter, clothing, status, name, fame, money, etc. These are all fulfilled according to the cultural ways. So it guides a man towards the varied activities. So it was designed with the process through which the human being satisfy their own needs and wants. Culture can be observed, so it can be visualized or seen in its physical form. Non-material culture, like values, morals, cannot we cannot see them, but they are translated by people into action. Culture is continuous and cumulative process. So it's a continuous process. So it grows whole. So it includes the achievements of past, present, and make provisions for the future achievements of mankind. Let's know about the dimensions of culture. We all know that there are mainly two dimensions of the culture. One is material and second one is non-material. First of all, we will know material culture. It consists of man-made objects such as tools, implements, furniture, automobiles, buildings, roads, all these things which have been changed and used by man. So it's concerned with the external, mechanical, and utilitarian objects. It includes technical and material objects like printing press, telephone, television, etc. So it includes our banks, insurance schemes, currency system. It is referred as civilization. Non-material culture. The term culture is used in ordinary sense. In non-material culture, it is something like that internally and intrinsically valuable. So it reflects the inward nature of the man. It consists the language they speak, beliefs they hold as people, and the values and virtues that people cherish, and habits they follow, and rituals and practices they do, and the ceremonies they observe. It also includes our customs, tastes, attitudes, outlook, etc. It was all about non-material and material culture. Let's have a look on components of culture. Components of culture such as beliefs, values, norms, language, etc. These are called the components of culture. So let's start in beliefs. Beliefs are shared ideas by people within their community, and the beliefs are also on the basis of culture's norms and values. As I already mentioned that it may be based on the experiences in the past, scientific evidence, religious faith, or public opinion. However, belief in God and beliefs about soul, hell, and heaven are based solely on faith. Values are shared and standards among the members of the society. So these are the standards by which the people define what is considered right and wrong, beauty and ugly, good and bad. Freedom, justice, equality, patriotism, and democracy are some of the almost universal values. Norms are the standards of group behavior. So these are the products of interaction among individuals. So when individuals interact with other individuals, a set of norms develop that regulate their relationship and modes of behavior. So the standards of group behavior are called social norms. So norms also help us to provide guidelines among the patterns of behavior and define them as inappropriate according to the spatial and social situations. These may be explicit and implicit. Explicit means norms which are in the written form. Implicit means norms which are not in a written form. Language is a set of symbols and rules that put together in a meaningful way, which provides a complex communication system. If you want to adjust yourself in any society, you must learn the language of that culture. It is essential for becoming the part of that very particular society. You have to learn a common language to become a member of any social group. It is a part of our society's cultural heritage, and the language expresses and preserves that cultural heritage. Let's have a look on relationship between education and culture. So the concept of culture testifies that fact that education and culture are integrally and intimately connected. So the both and culture and education go hand in hand with one another. So it is a profound implications for education. So the social living is influenced by education, and education is itself governed by social life. Without culture, there can be no growth and progress of the man. Teacher must relate teaching content to the cultural background of their students if they want to be effective in multicultural classroom. The culture of society has its inevitable impact on educational system. The education system points to the various needs of the society that are concerned, because it is for the fulfillment of the education which is organized. So culture of a society is the materialistic. So the education system there is based on the competition and efforts of individual. So it is directed towards the achievement of material goals and not towards spiritual and aesthetic ones. Let's begin the influence of education on culture. Education plays a very important role in conservation and preservation of culture. Each country believes and flaunts the superiority of their own culture over the rest. So hence it leads towards the preservation, and its original form. The education is the only means to this complete task. Transmission of culture. Education is the savior of cultural traditions, experiences, as well as values and cultural patterns. There can be seen no growth in culture without its transmission. So it's very necessary for the progress of man. So it can be transmitted consciously. So there will be no choice in society, and this will lead to the instability in that very particular society. So the transmission of culture by education is most important survival for our cultural heritage. Promotion of culture. Education helps in the modification and promotion of culture. So it helps in the establishment of better and happier environment in society. Removing of cultural conflicts. There are several cultural conflicts found in the world. Even the nation may have different cultures, but the differences from one culture to another have looked down upon their representatives, and followers of one culture may allow their women flock to walk without wheel, but while many people consider that wheel is necessary for female flock. These are some examples. Conflict should be removed, and children will be taught a good and common elements of all the cultures, and their prejudices will be removed. So it helps an individual in removing prejudices, and the many good elements of cultures are learned by individual, and individual tries to imitating the behavior of their elders, teachers. Cultural reforms. So its culture is always dynamic, as we already know that. So many things are added to it. So every time, so it will remain dynamic. So these all modifications and additions are not desirable for any particular culture of the society. It's only education which analyzes the cultural scientifically and brings all out these undesirable elements which are not conducive for their environmental and also their development. Maintaining the continuity of culture. Society cannot survive without its culture, so it's an identity which may create self-consciousness among the individuals. So it's very powerful and it maintains the continuity of culture through its activities and programs. So this will not lead only against the cultural integration. This cannot lead towards the cultural integration among different societies. So it is necessary for culture to have an safeguard for their spread. Removing cultural lags. So the material culture grows faster than non-material because it creates ideological concepts in man and his internal behavior. Education also helps in defining the concepts, beliefs, and ideas according to the changing needs and cultural lag can be removed. Development of composite culture. When different cultures came in contact with each other, the composite culture is created due to the exchange of culture. It is a type of culture, something is given to another cultures and something is taken from them. This culture may be more acceptable as compared to the particular culture imposed on people by force, as in the case of India. Education plays a significant role in creating such cultures and then integrating the whole nation into the unit. Let us discuss about the influence of culture on education. First one is formulation educational aims. Whatever ideals, values and beliefs in society have an aims of education to preserve them. So the thinking and pattern of behavior of the people and their standard of living will also play an important role in determining the educational aims. Constructing curriculum. Curriculum is to be developed as the increase in the acquisition. So as we all know that culture is not genetically inherited, it is rather acquired. So it can be constructed in such a way so the desired result is through culture by people can be acquired by them. So it is an important need for society to accuse the material and spiritual comforts. So curriculum can be developed as the increase of these comforts of material and spiritual life of an individual. Besides, the elements of culture are not universal, culture differs from society, as we already know that the variability of culture will also be accommodated in the curriculum to increase the digestibility of peoples, yeah, or if I can say students in that very particular institution. Methods of teaching, culture and society is accommodative and impenetrable also determines the behavior of teachers and the methods of teaching. Education will be teacher-centered, curriculum-centered or child-centered. So it will depend on the cultural patterns of the society, whether that very particular society is autocratic or democratic. Discipline in the aspect of education, it was directly affected by the culture. So the discipline is affected. Discipline cannot get affected, while as no other aspect of education is directly affected by culture than discipline. Problem of indiscipline is generally seen in those societies where education is not given the priority by the people. Research activities. Culture or subcultures of a society, they can determine the directions as well as dimensions of research through which they can do the various researches on the ongoing circumstances like some diseases, AIDS, COVID-19, etc. Development of arts, music, and literature. Art, literature, and music reflects the culture of a particular age. We can study the culture of past on the basis of these cultural elements, and we can relate with them in present in order to predict the future. This phenomena leads to the reducement of many social cultural conflicts. Effects on teachers' behavior. Teacher of the particular class is the practical being and living from of culture. Whether the culture has acquired from society is fully reflected through his behavior in the society. Thus, teacher can possess of accurate and easy. So he tries to inculcate ideas and values among the children and modify their behavior and transform the culture to his students. School system as a whole. School exists for the purpose of inducting the younger into the culture to which school belongs. This very reason, linguistic and religious minorities establish their own educational institutes to preserve and transmit their culture. So, in total, the activities and programs of the school are organized according to the cultural pattern of that very particular society. Cultural diffusion. The cultural diffusion refers to the process of borrowing cultural elements from another society. So, this process of diffusion involves the spread of cultural elements, both material artifacts and the ideas from one culture to another culture. Culture definition is transmission of culture So it is an diffusion from one society to the culture group to another. So it is a cultural diffusion. It can occur by means of trade, migration, mass communication, media, social interaction, etc. So it can occur from one culture in a society to another in the same. The anthropologist Ralph Linton assured that some time ago that many things people often regard as American originally came from the land's cloth development in Asia. Clocks were invented in Europe, coins were originated in Turkey, and much more. So, talking about cultural lag, so due to the rapid progress of scientific inventions and discoveries and technological advancement in the world, and the material aspects of culture has gone ahead, and non-material aspects. The difference between material and non-material aspects of culture is termed as cultural lag. By material aspect of culture, we mean that things like tools, utensils, machines, dwellings, manufactured goods, and transportation. In non-material aspects, it includes family, morals, values, religion, government, and education. When changes occur in material aspects of culture, they are in turn stimulate changes in the non-material aspects of culture. Immaterial culture discoveries and inventions are and rapidly made to which the non-material culture is to adjust itself, and if it cannot, a lag occurs. If society is to maintain equilibrium, both the parts of culture, material and non-material, they should be properly adjusted. It implies that the action which occurs a high degree of planning, the failure of modern society to make quick and effective adaptations to change in the material culture. It is not due to the technical instability, so but due to the rigidity of the ideological system. The cultural lags that are appeared in our societies during the past 100 years, we have generally been between the rapidly advanced technology and old elements in beliefs and organizations. So, man is in order to remove the gaps between the parts of the culture, they should adapt his ways of thinking and behaving to the state of his technology. At last, we will learn about the culture shock. It refers to the psychological and social maladjustment. People who suffer from traveling to different cultures, they are suddenly exposed to the number of norms, practices, and beliefs that are so different from their own that they need to adjust and adapt the surroundings. Indians who walk on the certain benches in Brazil will be shocked to see that the entire family, father, mother, and children enjoys swimming together. These are the few MCQs which I provide you here. Give the answer of these questions in the comment section. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.